What I am is honored to be here tonight to lend my voice to President Obama. Do the right thing and let Leonard Peltier out of prison now, before the end of the year. If not you, President Obama, who? Who? It's gotta be you. I followed this case for a very long time, and the idea of how we incarcerate people in this country, millions tonight to sit in prison, and Leonard is there for a crime that he didn't commit, and has served 37 years enslaved in a pen. What will history write about us and how we locked up some of our best people? There, but for the grace of God, well, you or I, when it comes to him. But there are so many others. I mean, the prison industrial complex that we have in this country. I just saw the movie of the Central Park Five. And I had just moved to New York the year of the trial. And if you remember, those of you who lived here then, all the newspapers and the media convicted these young men. And they did such an incredible job of convincing the public. As I remember it, if we could just speak honestly here, everybody believed it, right? Yeah. Okay, you didn't, but I remember listening to liberals in this city, and they bought it. And the silence of people who didn't speak out, I think, especially if you watch this film, makes everyone complicit in the fact that these young men served so many years in prison for a crime that they did not commit. And you see these stories all the time. On 60 Minutes last week, a couple of dozen people in Illinois that they've gotten out of prison, some of them off death row. Right, we hear these stories now all the time of people who have been incarcerated for 20, 30, 15 years, and then they're let out because they realize, well, they didn't commit the crime. I decided some time ago that from now on, whenever I hear the police or the FBI or whoever present a case like one of these, I start with the assumption that they're lying. And they may not be, but it's up to them to convince me that they're not a liar. And it's I just think that I got to meet I.F. Stone before he died, and those are baby boomers applauding. But for the youngsters in here, he was a great journalist, and he didn't work for the man. He put out his own little newsletter every week or every other week called I.F. Stone's Weekly. And one of his famous things that was on his masthead that I remember, or one of his slogans or whatever, was, "All governments and corporations are run by liars, and nothing they say should be believed." That was the engine of what he believed as a journalist. He started with that assumption. You have to prove that you're not. Incarcerating Leonard Peltier for 37 years is an act of violence. We are a violent country. And I'm not just talking about gun deaths and all that, but we seem to, we were a country that was founded in genocide. So right there, our original sin is murder and killing and violence to achieve our ends. and then we were built on the backs of slaves. That's our legacy. Founded in genocide, built on the backs of slaves. Earlier today, a crazy man went to an elementary school and attacked 22 children in China. A few hours before Connecticut, an elementary school was attacked in China by an insane man, and 22 children were his victims. But all he had was a knife. Total number of dead in the Chinese elementary school? 0. I hope you don't mind, but I'd like to just say a few words about what happened today, because I've been concerned about this issue for a long time. Yes, we need more gun control. Yes, we need free mental health services in this country. But I really believe that even if we had better gun control laws and better mental health, that we would still be the sort of sick and twisted, violent people that we've been for hundreds of years. That is something that's just in our craw, just in our DNA. And to get that out of our DNA is going to take a lot more than passing a bill in Albany or D.C. That's not going to do it. And you know, other countries, I mean, they have their crazy people, and they have people that they've been shootings and killings in Norway and France and in Germany. But there haven't been 61 mass killings like there have been in this country just since Columbine. 61 mass shootings in this country. I like to say that I sort of agree with the NRA when they say guns don't kill people, people kill people, except I would just modify that a bit to say guns don't kill people, Americans kill people. Because that's what we do. We invade countries, we send drones in to kill civilians. We've got 5 wars going on right now where our soldiers are killing people. Might be 5 that we know of. We are on the short list of illustrious countries who have the death penalty. We believe it's okay to kill you when you've committed a crime. And then we have all the other forms of violence in this country that we don't really call violence, but they are acts of violence. When you make sure that 50 million people don't have health insurance in your country, and that according to the congressional study that was done, 44,000 people a year die in America for the simple reason that they don't have health insurance, that's a form of murder. That murder is being committed by the insurance companies. When you evict millions of people from their homes, that's an act of violence. That's called a home invasion. All the wrong people are in prison in this country. I can't believe we're just standing blocks away from the biggest criminal operation that this country has ever seen, right down that street. And not one of them has gone to prison for what they've done. When you've eliminated so many millions of jobs, when you've ruined communities like mine in Flint, Michigan, you have killed people because having seen firsthand the effects of these corporate decisions, the alcoholism, the drug abuse, divorce, suicide, all the social problems that go along with this act of violence, but we don't call it violence, and no one's ever arrested for it. I think it's a real shame, and frankly, as an American, this is not how I want to be remembered. And so I think that we have a much larger job. We have to get Leonard out of prison immediately. We have to. I ask you to support the Innocence Project and the other projects at Northwestern University and others who are trying to get people out of prison who shouldn't be there. We need to reform our drug laws and stop this phony war on drugs and locking people up, using drugs as an excuse to commit the racist act of locking up so many African American and Hispanic men and women. I was watching Amy's show, or listening to it yesterday. See that? I just have to say your first name. You're a rock star. And she ran a videotape of Leonard in prison reciting some of his poetry. If you have a chance, you can go on the Democracy Now! Website and watch it. It's very moving poetry, and it breaks your heart to think about why he's not on this stage tonight, why he's still there. But anyway, so today I woke up and I was inspired by his poetry, so I decided to write a poem for him. And I will read it to you first, and then I'll get him on the phone and read it to him myself. So here goes. Dear Mr. President, please let Leonard come home. Let him be home for Christmas. That would make my Yuletide gay. Let his troubles be far, far away. He's been gone some 37 years. Just think of what he's missed. I want to take him to IKEA and see if he can figure out how to put a coffee table and matching bookcase together. I want to take him to Starbucks and show him the difference between a grande and a venti. I'd like to bring him to my home and sit with him and watch The Bachelorette and see if he can guess who will get the single red rose. I want to ride the 7 train with him and go to Citi Field, named after a bank that fleeced millions of people, and show him that the Mets still suck. Although, 10 years into his prison term, they didn't. I want to show him all of this. 20 women now in the U.S. Senate. An African American in the White House. And no soda over 12 ounces in New York City. And maybe, just maybe, he can help us with the next Occupy, the next battle, to stand with the millions who are in need of a courageous leader, now more than ever. Please, Mr. President, let Leonard Peltier come home, or we shall all bury our hearts at Wounded Knee. Thank you very much.